Unfiltered with Dave Letele, and this week I'm joined by my great friend Edd Rivera. Cartel, just an epic guy, really great conversation to be had. We shared his experience about growing up around the cartels, the stuff he would see.
First time I was in a shooting, I was like 12, 13. All the kids from my neighborhood, some of them are missing, some of them are in jail.
These guys are living with this day in, day out, so how his mum and dad kept them safe, the stuff that we take for granted here, what it was like over there was really an eye-opener, and why they left Mexico. You know, they actually thought New Zealand was in Europe. It was crazy, but so, we're talking about his health journey, talking about his why, and why he has to be healthy, why he has to lose weight. Really, really inspiring conversation. So don't forget to like, comment, and share this conversation far and wide. Edd Rivera. Enjoy. Before we get started, Unfiltered with Dave Letele is proudly part of the Acast network and produced by the amazing team at Fanaticals. This episode is brought to you by my good friends, Trust Motors. Now, they're an amazing company that support everything we do in the community. I've known them for a long time, so if you're looking for a new car, trading in your car, whatever the case may be sure to support those who support the community. Trust Motors, how car buying should be. Man, we have been blown away by the success so far of Unfiltered with Dave Letele. The response, the comments, the stories that are being told are absolutely amazing, and we feel really privileged to be able to bring you these conversations. They are so important. So if you think they're important just like us, we need your support via Patreon. So only if you're able to pay for this, please. If you can't, I don't want you to pay for it. Every single dollar helps. Every single dollar will go towards making these stories blow up like they should be. Mainstream media aren't telling these stories yet. These are the stories to me that need to be told and held up on a pedestal to inspire the world. So that's why we're bringing Patreon. That's why we're implementing this tool as a way that we can continue to tell these stories to the best of our ability. And we feel very privileged to be able to do this. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And let's go. Edd Rivera. Orale, carnal. Did I say that right? Orale, carnal.
Órale, carnal. Órale, carnal.
Vatos locos for life.
Vatos locos forever.
I should have worn my shirt with the one button up.
Oh, get the dickies out and all that stuff. Yeah, with the fedora. Get the fedora out.
How's it going, brother?
Good. Pretty excited to be here. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you for joining me, man.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited.
What's been going on?
I'm going through this is my first completed week at BBM.
Yes.
So I gotta tell you, I'm sore. I'm very sore. I wasn't expecting it to be not hard, but this much. Like when
you first walked in and you saw the people.
Yeah. I said,
you watch it online. What were you thinking?
I was like, you know what? We're gonna have a 5-minute exercise, one burger. 5-minute exercise, another burger. I thought it was gonna be cruisy, but the moment they pull out the board and they're like, we're gonna go through this, and I was like, surely this is if you can complete it. We're not gonna do those like all that list. We did it, and it's intoxicating. In my opinion, it was intoxicating for me. It was like. I always struggle to finish my exercises. I was sweaty, I was in pain, but
yeah.
It's never happened to me. This is the first time that I've been through an exercise, and I never realized it's been an hour.
Wow.
And it's, I don't know if it's the environment, the trainer, it's everything. I think it's a combination of, and I cannot wait to, keep going back.
So we'll talk about the health journey,
Yep.
about, what, just tell us a little bit about yourself. So you're born in Mexico?
Yeah, born and raised. I am from a town called Tonalá, Jalisco. Everybody knows the big city, which is called Guadalajara, one of the biggest cities. I used to be a professor. That's my career.
Wow.
Yeah, English professor at the University of Guadalajara.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my career before coming to New Zealand. And I have 2 kids. I have my daughter. She's in Mexico right now. And my son that was born here, we call him residency. And yeah, man, New Zealand was a surprise for me. I wasn't thinking coming to New Zealand. I wanted to go to Europe. A lot of people know this story by now that I wanted to go to Europe, and I thought New Zealand was in Europe.
Seriously?
Seriously, I know, and I'm ashamed because I was a professor. So I genuinely thought that New Zealand was part of Europe, and Mexicans, sadly, we have a bit of a reputation with immigration, so it's very hard to go to countries. And New Zealand has a program that opens the doors for Mexicans a little bit, not too much, but just enough for a few of us to go through.
Yeah.
And I saw the door, and I was like, let's go. And I was lucky. I got a visa.
Yeah.
I came here, and I wanted to work as a professor, but there was no. There was a few opportunities, but the pay was horrible. Like teachers get paid horribly here in New Zealand. And I said, I came. The purpose of going to another country for Mexicans usually is go, make money, go back to your country. That's kind of like the goal. Even the ones that go in America, that's the goal. Send money back to Mexico, build a house, And long story short, came, realized there was no opportunity as a professor, and started working in construction. Started as a laborer. I was working for a company called Fletcher's, and just started, work my way up there. Interesting fact, I wasn't fat. I've always been chubby, but never this big. It was never this big. So New Zealand got me fat. I don't know. I don't want to blame New Zealand, but New Zealand got me fat, like really fat.
So what do you think that was? I mean, what was life growing up like in Mexico as a kid? What was life like there, and then you moved here?
Well, you got to understand, Mexico, it is what they say in the movies, but it's worse. They don't show the reality, because if they show the reality, I'll tell you an example. Just 2 weeks ago in my hometown, they found a location where the cartel hid bodies, and they say the real count is 5,000 bodies.
What?
But they said on the news they put only 300 bodies, 300 to 500 bodies, and that's disappearings, people, kids, adults, everybody. Just the cartel use them for target practice or torture or stuff like that, or kidnapping. So you grew up with that. I grew up with that violence around me. I was blessed enough that I had a mom and a dad that were very strict on me. My mom, when you're a kid, you hate that,
Yeah.
I hated my mom because she would never let me go out to the play with the kids, never go out on the street with the kids. But obviously there was a reason, she sheltered me a lot in a way of that. So I cannot tell you I grew up around that kind of kids, but you see it from.
Yeah.
I saw it from my
there.
window.
Yeah.
All the kids from my neighborhood. Some of them are missing. Some of them are in jail. And you grew up with that. It was hard, man. It was really, really hard, in a way that you think that violence, it's normal. For me, was one of the biggest shocks that we got so used to listening. Oh, how many bodies? Just 40? That's it.
Sort of desensitized.
Too much, man. The first time I saw someone die or got killed, I was 8. And a guy got literally cut open completely from side to side.
Saw it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, and I wasn't part of like nothing. My neighborhood wasn't not considered like a truly like a bad area. And I got set up. I was walking to the corner, like to the dairy, to the store. Some dude saw another dude, slice him open. And that was it. And it was just like, I was like, wow. First time I was in a shooting, I was like 12, 13. And it's normal, I could do, like, I'm not even, if you grab any Mexican, they could be telling you, oh yeah, I have a story like that. Oh yeah, I have a story like that. It's nothing that I could tell you it's different or I'm exclusively happened to me. No, it's a day to day, those sort of things. So when I become a father, I didn't want it to have that life for my daughter. The main thing, So I said, you know what, I need to find a way to, because the problem in Mexico is not about who makes it. Anybody can make it in your country. This is what people don't understand with Mexicans, why we flee our country. It's not about making it or making money. I had an amazing job. I had a really good job. I was making enough money. I was, having a decent life. I had no problems. The problem is that when you start doing good, other people look at you and they're like, oh, this guy has money. And then that's when things happen. They can kidnap you. They could, threaten you. They try to scam you. They try to take away what you, with your hard work, gotten. And it's one of the things that I said, you know what, I don't want that. Because one of the biggest issues is that, and the problem is that television, Netflix makes all of this cartel stuff seem cool. When I came here to New Zealand, I obviously I hang out with a lot of Polynesian kids, and they were like, man, it must be cool to be like with the cartel and the guns, and I'm like, oh man, yeah. I was like, I tell you one example. My daughter here in New Zealand, when I brought my daughter first, she told me something that I was shocked. She looks at me and she's like, Daddy, we have windows in our school. And I was like, what? And she's like, there's windows. She was in Avondale Primary School, man. And I was like, what? It didn't click on me, because in Mexico, there's no windows. All the windows are like with protections in it, so you cannot see outside. And then she's like, there's a playground. There's a park. She was telling me, like, for her was just like, wow. I was like shocked, because I was like, oh, it's something that obviously as an adult you stop seeing those little things, and kids pick it up straight away. And it's about that, those guys take away all of that livelihood. Over there you cannot. I had to train my kids last time we went to Mexico. I had to train them, especially the little Kiwi, because when we go to the warehouse or we go to any store, Daddy, can I go to see the toys? Yeah, go. He walks away and goes to the toys. Over there, you cannot let any kid alone, because they get kidnapped, they get taken away, and it's trafficking, it's all that sort of things, man. I forgot, and it's so funny, man. I used to criticize my cousins, the ones that come back from the States or from another part of the world, and they were like, oh man, I want to go back to my country. I used to criticize them because I was like, oh man, and you're not Mexican, like I was joking, I was like, you're not Mexican, This time we went, and this was 2022. Halfway, like we were half month in, I told my wife, I want to go back to New Zealand. I forgot what it was like, literally just like, looking at your back just all the time. It's like, because you don't ever know who's going to be, even you cannot even trust the police. You cannot even trust the government. They're worse. Like,
so that's what drove you to get out of there? For your kids, for your daughter, and then now
everything. It was like, I cannot have this life. Like, I can't. I don't care what I have to do, but I need to get out of here.
What did you do when you realized New Zealand wasn't Europe?
I was thinking, I said, I have a year visa. I'm gonna make my money and then just go back to Mexico. But Polynesians changed me, bro.
Yeah.
I have a story, and I went to this Polynesian park because I was hanging out with a lot of Europeans, backpackers. That's where I was staying. So they were just about drinking and partying and leaving the country, First time I go to a Polynesian party, it was intoxicating. It was just, first thing, I opened the door, the wife of my friend gave me a hug and a kiss, and she's like, come in, have a seat, we're at the back, come here, have a seat, blah, blah. They turn on the barbecue, they start putting a lot of food. I was like, who's coming? They were like just bringing food and food. First time I tried raw fish, chop suey, panipopo, all that. Oh, I was eating, man. Like just, and then midnight they put Selena. And everybody was singing the Selena songs, and one of the uncles was completely drunk. He hugged me. He's like, that actually Selena is someone. And I was laughing, man, the whole time, just laughing. It was good. It was just like, wow. I'm hanging out with the wrong crowd, And that made me stop feeling homesick. Because I was Mexico doesn't exist in New Zealand. There's nothing about Mexico here in this country. So I was very, very homesick. Because if you go to the States or to go to Canada, even in Europe, you still have a little bit there's a lot of Mexicans around the world. But here, no, there's nothing. So I was just like, maybe I can see if I can stay. And I talked to my employer, and they were like, yeah, we can give you another visa. They gave me another visa. They helped me out, boom, boom, boom. And I started, 1 year became 2 years, and then another year. And then on my third year, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to make New Zealand my home. So I talked to the employer, and I said, hey, I want to get, they have something they call work to residence visa. Can we apply for that? And they were like, yeah, we'll help you out with that one. And they put all the paperwork, boom, 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 boom. Immigration came back with a letter saying, which is all over, you can literally Google it. I always laugh. I make my audience, whenever I do a comedy show, I make them laugh. I said, pull up your phones, Google, put Mexican, fat, New Zealand. And the first photo that is going to show up is my face. And New Zealand immigration sent me a letter saying I'm too fat for the country, which is a funny story. This is a true story.
But I got fat here.
I called immigration, and the immigration officer, he had a very Kiwi name, Rajesh or something like that. And he said to me, yes, this letter is official, blah, 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 this and that. Because I thought it was a joke. I was like, maybe my wife is taking the piss out of me, like she wants me to lose weight or something. And then the guy is like, yeah, you have to lose weight and this and that. And then I said to him, so how does the Polynesians do it? I said, you can hear, he literally just went, let me put you on hold for a second. I think he had a good laugh, and then he came back and he was like, sir, this is part of the policy. He gave me the whole speech. Probably he was reading from the book. And I said, all right, well, how many kgs do you want me to lose? And then he went, give me 1 second again. And he put me on hold, came back, and he was like, just lose weight.
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, is there a BMI thingy? Because they were using the BMI excuse, which I realized that it doesn't make sense, because I was talking to other friends of mine, and they're like, bro, they look fit. They're like muscle and all. And they're like, bro, my BMI is...
Like All Blacks. BMI is outdated.
I was like, wow. And I couldn't believe it. But I went, sacrificed myself. I was eating like 1 can of tuna a day, 3 hours at the gym, just like boom, boom, boom. And I lost 60 kgs, bro.
Wow.
In 2 months.
Wow.
Which is insanely too much.
Yeah.
Like, it's too much. It's like, it's not even healthy. Not healthy. So I lost it. Immigration said, congratulations, here's your visa. And I was just like, okay, awesome. And then bad habits came back. But the problem is that those 60 kgs that I lost, I gained them, and then I gained more. And it was just, it was just a nonstop roller coaster. And the main problem, I think, is because working in construction, I was working with a lot of the boys, and the food that they eat in construction sites is literally very unhealthy. Very, very unhealthy. You have the big fizzy drinks with
all the energy drinks.
Energy, that's a must.
Yeah.
You start your day with an energy drink and a pie. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
And it was just, too much, for me. And I stopped. I was blessed enough that they realized I could do stuff in the office. And they were like, okay, we're going to get you to jump in the office a little bit more, boom, boom, boom. And they started training me for other stuff, and I got upskilled a little bit more.
But you would have been less active in the office too.
But the same diet. I was still eating my, my fizzy drinks, my pies, my this, my that. And the weight just boom, 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 boom. To the point that last last year and the year before, I was falling asleep everywhere, just because too fat. Just like the moment I would sit down in front of a computer, straight away. Straight away, just because I wasn't sleeping properly.
Yeah.
I wasn't, the whole thing went downhill. Yeah, I think I know I say I blame New Zealand on that, but it's obviously my fault. It's in the end, it's the decisions that I took. I could have. My wife, she's never she's. They look at me and they look at her and they're like, how does that? It doesn't, because she's skinny and fit and everything. So
And so how did you, I used to labour. I was a labourer in my young days, and then when I was boxing here on TV, and then I'd be labouring for my coach's company, and people would see me go, what are you doing here? You're on TV. Why are you labouring? And it drove me, man. I was useless. I would waste so much wood. I'd always cut at wrong measurements. I'm not handy. And the foreman used to say, oh, stop wasting all our Band-Aids. So I always cut myself. And I thought, man, this motivated me. I've got to get better at my motivation stuff. I've got to go harder because, man, I cannot be a labourer. Is that what made you get into comedy? How did that happen?
no, funny enough, comedy came out of a bit of how can I say it? Like, as a professor,
Yeah.
we used to have they would come and observe our classes, like the principal or a coordinator or whatever. Long story short, this coordinator, shout out, his name is Isaac. He came one day and he saw my class.
Yeah.
And finished the class. They give you feedback how you teach, because obviously there's a program that you need to follow and all that sort of things. He comes to me and he's like, amazing, you completed everything on the program, you did do it good. He gave me this beautiful uplifting thing,
Yeah.
and then he said, but it's not a stand-up show, bro. And I'm like, what? And he's like, it's not a stand-up show. I'm like, what? What do you mean about that? And he's like, you're funny, but you're over too funny, and the students are not going to respect you in the end.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, but isn't that good? Like, and he's like, yeah, man, it's going to affect you in the long run, because they're going to think you're just a silly teacher,
Yeah.
It's good that you throw in some jokes every now and then, but you're too much, But that word stand-up got stuck in my head.
Yeah.
So I started Googling. I didn't know nothing about stand-up. I didn't know nothing about all that stuff. For me in Mexico, comedy used to be a guy telling jokes on a microphone.
Yeah.
But just jokes. Like a guy walks into a bar, that kind of type of jokes. It was never storytelling or that kind of thing. I come to New Zealand, and there's a bar called The Classic here in Auckland. And I saw they had a sign, open mic night. And I was just like, oh, I'll sign up. If I fail, nobody knows me here. It'll just be an embarrassment night. And my first night, I remember the first comedians were really bad, bro.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. Nobody was laughing, and that made me so anxious because nobody was laughing. Then the third guy, he was insanely good. Everybody was laughing, but too good. So I was like, oh my God, now I have to
follow this.
How am I gonna? Yeah. So when they named me, I don't know. I literally got on stage and improvised the whole thing. I had like one or two jokes that I already memorized about Trump.
Yeah.
Because everybody, loves to hear jokes, a Mexican telling jokes about Trump. And I said, okay, if anything fails, I'll just tell the Trump jokes, And I got to the stage, the whole thing, the whole crowd was white. First of all, white. And it was packed.
Oh.
And I look at them and I was like, my name is Edd Rivera and I'm from Mexico. And when I said Mexico, a few people were like, woo, arriba, yepa, like that, tequila, la, la. And then I said, because of my nervousness, I said, I'm legally here. And then when I said that I'm legally here, people just lost it. They were like, oh my God. And then sorry, there's a lot of white people in the crowd. I don't want to get like deported or something like that. And people were just reacting to that. And that kind of like loosened me. And I started telling jokes. I ended up saying the Trump jokes. And it was a success. It was really good. Got out of the stage. And all of the comedians were like, bro, like that was good. And boom, 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 boom. the funny thing is that gave me a rush. That gave me like, because I missed as well teaching a lot of the things that interaction as a professor. That's one of the things that I loved. So I was like, oh man, I need to go back at it. Like I need to do it more. So I kept doing open mics, and it was good. Never bumped. It was so good every single time. And then I went back to Mexico. The first time I went back to Mexico, I did a show in San Francisco to a room full of Mexicans.
Oh.
And I bombed completely. Nobody laughed. I even got one of those, you see the little tumbleweed thing? Like one of those. I was like, oh my God, what happened? And I asked one of the comedians, and I said, hey, why was I so bad? Like, what happened? And he tells me, you just told jokes everybody knows, bro. I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, yeah, man. Everybody knows because, the border, Trump, all that sort of things, kind of like typical jokes.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's when I realized I needed to change my material because I was just saying the same jokes over and over. But here in New Zealand, it was beautiful because nobody has that experience of a Mexican, so it was easy. And then the next day I had another open mic in San Francisco, and I said, all right, so let's improvise. Let's. I don't have nothing written, and I started telling jokes about me being fat. How difficult it is, to get on a plane and all that sort of thing. And people they didn't like cheered me up, but they were laughing. They were reacting. I was like, okay, I need to start doing that. And when the moment I said, okay, I'm going to go pro, I'm going to apply, I'm going to do this, my wife gets pregnant. And that was like, my wife was like, you got to help me. So no more comedy. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I stopped the comedy, did the whole, parenting, blah, 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 blah. A year, my boy turned a year, and I was with my wife, and I was like, can I go back to comedy? And she was like, yeah, but don't abuse it, because I still need you here with the kids. And I was like, okay. So I started doing like once in a week, or kind of sort of thing. And then I was getting a little bit, better and better. And this was 2019. By the end of 2019, I was getting better. I met Joe. Joe Damon.
Yep.
Joe Damon. Oh man, the first day I met him, I was just like blown away. I was like, man, this guy, he's so funny, and it was good because you never see brown comedians, So I was just like, it was me, Joe, and another guy named Keegan Gomez. It was the only kind of like brown guys that I'd seen so far, and I was just like, oh man, so good. And he tells me, he's like, bro, keep it up, like you're so funny, blah blah blah. And we exchanged the Facebooks and all that sort of things. And when I was about to go into get into a competition and blah 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 and this and that, COVID happens. Everything gets locked down. No more shows, no more comedy, no more nothing. And that's when I saw Joe's video of him going viral with the Prime Minister. I don't know if you remember those silly videos that he used to post on social media. It had like 500,000 views, and I was just like, wow, man, people are loving your videos. And he literally said this to me. He's like, bro, try it. Nah, I'm old, bro. You're young. Like, I already have kids and everything, bro. Like, I cannot be doing freaking TikTok. And he was like, nah, man, doesn't matter the age. Give it a try. And I was like, I wasn't sure, honestly. I wasn't sure. When I told my wife that, she laughed at me, and she's like, oh, you're going to be doing the dances and everything? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm just thinking about it. And I think I waited too long. We got out of lockdown.
Yeah.
So 2021, it was the end of lockdown. And I posted a few videos, no views, no followers, no nothing. And then the day that I said, okay, you know what? I think this comedy, this video thingy, this is not for me. Yeah. Just gonna go back, focus on my career as a construction. I was still working for Fletcher's. Yeah. I was part of it was a massive project, which is the Eastern Busway, the one in Pakuranga. So I was like, I'm gonna marry that, just go hard. And long story short, the day I was gonna delete the account and just everything, I saw a video of a guy asking questions about your country. And I duetted the video. I said, silly questions. It was like, where are you from? What's your country? Blah, 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 this and that. And I replied him normally, as any questions you could ask. But at the very end, it says, if I ever go to your country, what do you recommend me to do? And I said, cocaine. Posted the video, went to sleep. And the next day had 1 million views.
Wow.
And everybody was just laughing and this and that. And a few comments were like, oh, typical Mexican in America, blah, blah, America. I mean, everybody thought I was in America. And then I posted, no, I'm actually in New Zealand. And then the whole thing shifted completely. I was like, what? We got Mexicans in New Zealand? What? And I started replying to the videos and stuff like that. And from having like 100 followers on TikTok, when I went to like 20,000 and like nothing. It was just like, boom. And yeah, kind of like that motivated me to start.
Is that when you figured out I can actually make a career of this?
Yeah.
That moment?
Yeah. Because I met a lot of people that were trying to do social media and they were not getting anything of it.
Yeah.
But I was just like, so what was I doing wrong? And my biggest problem with social media was that I was posting in 2 languages. I was doing videos in Spanish, videos in English, and the algorithm pushes differently. So if you stick to one thing, you're famous. Like the famous word, get your niche, and just kind of like follow I was like, okay, I think I found my niche. And I started going about, myself and the comedy and everything. And I've always admired the Vine guys. I call them the Vine guys, which is all of them now. They're super famous. Paul Logan, all of those guys. And I try to message all the influencers here in New Zealand. Let's link up. I didn't have much followers as them, but I was like, please. Nobody replied. And then out of the blue, a guy named Terrell sent me a message, and he's like, hey, bro, like your videos. Want to do a video with me? And I was just like, oh, okay. I didn't know who he was.
He's like an OG, right?
He's a legend, man.
Cougar Boys.
Yeah, I didn't know he was like the big deal. I was like, to me, I saw him, and then I saw his following. I was like, oh my God, he had obviously 10,000 followers to, I think he had like 90,000 something followers. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Now I think he's on 1 million something. And we went, and he had a videographer, and we went to this specific place to do the video and all that stuff. And we did a YouTube video, and I was shocked. I was like, wow, man, like he was very professional. And that's when I realized I need to take things serious.
Yeah.
Because I was just being silly on my computer. I was just being silly at home, nothing. And that's when I started like posting more and more and more and more. And in 2023, Us was the one who I messaged him. I said, hey, I love your videos. I saw you did a video with Terrell. I don't know if you want to, I was thinking he wasn't going to reply. I was like, Straight away, he went back to me. He's like, yep, that's us. When you want to do it? And I was like, oh, today? He's like, come to the gym. And first 3 videos we did, they all went in millions views.
Wow.
And it was crazy. And ever since we've been,
Yeah, and I'll talk just quickly about Us, with your health journey. And he's copped a lot of, it's crazy, the hate he's got on around his health journey, right?
I think the biggest part of that, in my opinion, and I told him many times, as like, you gotta start loving the gym, because I think he felt the pressure, and it was not just the peer pressure; it was the social pressure. It was everything, and obviously, everyone has their own demons. Everyone has their own demons, and I tell this to people. People don't realize when you're fat, people never see you as an addict. But you are an addict. You are. And people don't accept that word. Like, if you see me doing drugs, of course you're going to tell me, bro, don't do drugs. If you see me drinking too much, bro, don't drink too much. If you see me smoking, bro, smoking is bad for you. Don't do it. But if you see me eating, you're never going to come and tell me, bro, don't eat.
Yeah.
That's not part of the whole thing. And I think one of the biggest things that I've been trying to tell him is that he's not alone. He has a lot of people that loves him, that we love him. I told him, it's like, bro, you have no idea how much, we love you, and we want you to succeed in life, not just as a comedian or content creator or actor or whatever you want to do in your life, as a person,
Hopefully by you starting, with us, because this is BBM will be the right place.
Honestly, after seeing what we just did this week, best place to, like, I tell everybody, I have a lot of big followers as well.
Yeah.
And I've been telling people are messaging me, and a few people message me and just like, is it good? Like, would you recommend it? I feel afraid of going. And I told them, it's like, no.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. Like, don't think about it. Just go with it. Just go. The best thing is to realize, I never caught my eye on that one. I hate that people are normalizing being fat.
Yeah.
I think it's the worst thing you can do, because you have no idea the consequences that you're going to have. I understand that there's a lot of sickness, there's a lot of stuff. I'm not asking you to become the 6-pack person.
Yeah. It's not about having a 6-pack. It's not being healthy and happy.
Just be healthy.
And being able to maintain it. Bro, the last question, something I ask every guest.
Yep.
In terms of your health and really where you are at now, what's your why and your purpose?
My purpose, obviously, I have a 6-year-old son. He's into sports. He plays soccer. He does swimming and all that stuff. And he's Mexican, so he can run short distance really fast.
Yeah.
So if he wants to run away, I'm not going to be able to catch him. I want to be able to play with him. You're going to make me cry with this one. We went to the park, bro. We went to the park, me and him. And we were just playing. He was just playing around. And, oh, man, I felt so angry with me, man, because he had his ball, and he was running around and all that stuff. And he saw me. He saw me struggling, He saw me that I couldn't keep up, And he comes to me and he's like, Daddy, it's okay. If you want, we can just sit down and I'll go play in the playground. Oh, bro, that shit, bro, that shit killed me, bro, because I was like, I'm failing him as a dad, I'm really, really failing him as a dad, because it's one of those things that you're like, when your kids follow you as an example, they see you and they're like, this is my dad, And my kid is seeing a guy that, he's funny, he's clever, he's whatever, but he doesn't take care of himself at all. And he's picking up those things. He's a very smart kid, and he's picking up those things, and it hurts me because he even said it. Kids are kids all the time, and we went to the soccer training, and one of the kids told him, "Why is your dad so fat?" I heard it, and my son was like, "'Cause he eats too much." And then it's like, are you gonna be fat as him? And my kid, he got angry and he's like, don't say those things. He said that to the kid. And oh man, I it's one of those things that I was like. And then he came after that happened. He came back home, and every time he was eating, we would have dinner or something. He would tell me, Dad, I need to train because I don't want to be fat. And he would start doing exercise at home. A 6-year-old, man. And I was just like, I think that was the one that I was just like, nah, man, I can't do this to him. I can't do this. And plus, boys, they need their dads. The mom is important, and my wife is amazing. She does everything that a dad that I don't do. I don't want that. I want to be, part of that. So today he told me when I drop him off from school, he looks at me. He's like, Dad, you do a lot of exercise today. All right, you do a lot of exercise today, and you'll be fine because we need to make that belly small. And I was like, oh fuck me, right? Like he catches those things, yeah. So yeah, I think for me that was the one that I've seen many situations of that you need to change, but this one was like it's not their fault. It's not his fault. It's my fault, and I need to do something about it.
Brother, you've got a very strong why there.
Yeah.
And I feel there'll be another interview with you later on. You're with us now. We got you.
Yeah.
And keep using that struggle and that why when you're sore and you want to give up, give that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining me, brother.
Thank you for having me, bro. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
If you made it this far, thank you so much for the support. It really does mean so much to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment on our videos and share this out. These stories are so inspiring and they need to be heard by everyone. Thank you so much, team.